The dust swirled around my feet as I walked down the crumbling sidewalk, a daily reminder of the irony that permeated our land. In Kenya, our universities and colleges are brimming with talent, producing engineers and experts who could transform our infrastructure. Yet, here I stood, watching foreign contractors oversee the construction of our roads, sewer lines, and bridges. The question burned in my mind: why? Each year, thousands of students graduate from our prestigious institutions, armed with degrees and a burning desire to contribute to their country. They are the sons and daughters of farmers, teachers, and small business owners who have sacrificed everything for their education. But as these young engineers step into the world, they find that the doors to opportunity remain firmly shut. Instead, our government signs lucrative contracts with international firms, often citing reasons of expertise and efficiency. But anyone with eyes to see and ears to hear knows there's more to the story. These foreign companies are not necessarily better or faster. No, they come bearing gifts, not in the form of superior technology or unparalleled skills, but in the form of kickbacks and promises that line the pockets of those in power. I remember the first time I met James, fresh out of the University of Nairobi with a degree in civil engineering. He was eager to apply his knowledge to build a better Kenya. He had ideas, innovations that could reduce cost and speed up projects. But the reality he faced was far from what he had envisioned. He recounted to me how he had approached a local government office with a proposal to revamp a dilapidated road in his hometown. The officials barely glanced at his plans before dismissing him, their eyes already set on a foreign contractor's bid. James was not alone. Across the country, countless stories echoed his experience. Talented engineers, architects, and planners all sidelined in favor of international companies whose primary qualification seemed to be their ability to grease the right palms. It was a bitter pill to swallow, watching our brightest minds leave the country, seeking opportunities where their talents were recognized and valued. The situation reeks of a paradox. Our government spends billions educating young engineers, only to turn around and deny them the chance to practice their trade. The streets of Nairobi are filled with idle graduates, their potential wasted, their dreams deferred. Meanwhile, foreign contractors, with their inflated budgets and questionable practices, continue to dominate our construction projects. And what of the quality of their work? Anyone who has driven on our roads knows the answer. Potholes appear almost as soon as the ribbon is cut. Sewer lines fail at the slightest provocation, and bridges show signs of wear long before their time. It is a cycle of mediocrity and corruption that benefits no one but those at the top. As I walked past yet another construction site emblazoned with a foreign logo, I couldn't help but wonder about the future we are building. Will we continue to sell our sovereignty for a few pieces of silver, or will we rise, demand accountability, and insist on nurturing our homegrown talent? The answers are not simple, but the questions are urgent. Our engineers are ready, our people are ready. Now, it's time for our leaders to step up and prove that they are too. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city. I stopped by a small cafe, its windows glowing warmly against the encroaching darkness. Inside, a group of young engineers huddled around the table, their faces a mix of frustration and determination. They were like James, brilliant, ambitious, and eager to make a difference. But the weight of systemic corruption and neglect hung over them like a shroud. One of them, a woman named Aisha, spoke passionately about her latest project. She had designed an innovative drainage system that could revolutionize water management in our flood-prone areas. Her eyes sparkled as she described the intricate details, but her voice faltered when she mentioned the obstacles she faced in getting the government's attention. "It's not just about the money," she said, her voice tinged with bitterness. "It's about the blatant disregard for our capabilities. They don't believe in us, or worse, they don't care. They'd rather pocket the bribes and let us fend for ourselves." Her words resonated deeply with everyone at the table. It wasn't just the missed opportunities, it was the erosion of hope and pride. Our engineers were being told, implicitly and explicitly, that their skills were second rate, that their education was a sham, and that their aspirations were futile. As I listened, I thought about the broader implications. When we undermine our local talent, we undermine our nation's future. We become dependent on foreign entities, our progress shackled by their interests and timelines. We lose our sense of ownership and pride in our achievements. And most tragically, we lose the dreams of our youth, who see no path forward in the land they call home. The night wore on and the cafe emptied, but the conversation continued. These young engineers were not willing to give up. They talked about forming a coalition leveraging social media to highlight their plight and advocating for policy changes. They were determined to fight, not just for their own futures, but for the future of Kenya. I left the cafe with a renewed sense of purpose. The struggle of our engineers was a microcosm of a larger battle for justice, transparency, and self-reliance. It was a call to action for all of us to demand better from our leaders and to support our own. In the days that followed, I joined their efforts, helping to amplify their voices. We organized forums, engaged with the media, and lobbied tirelessly. Slowly but surely, we began to see change. The government, under increasing public pressure, started to take notice. Contracts were scrutinized more closely, and some were even awarded to local firms. It was a small victory, but a significant one. The road ahead was long and fraught with challenges, but we were ready. The tide was turning, and with it, a new era of hope and possibility was dawning. Our engineers, our pride, will no longer be ignored. They will build our roads, our bridges, our future, and in doing so, they will build a Kenya that valued its own, a Kenya that could stand tall on the strength of its people.